Because I did start to have a little bit of success, that's when people started to say, you're too young, you won't be able to do it. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know who to trust. I mean, I'm talking about the incident that I had many, many years ago. And I see a phone as like a loaded shotgun. You've got to be so careful with them. Everyone can be a paparazzi now. Everyone, I mean, it's frightening. With 3 daughters and a husband that's away 300 days of the year, I could get a nanny. But I don't.
You don't have a nanny?
No.
She is Superwoman.
You know, and I want to be there for my kids and my family, not just for their successes, but for everything.
I'm Lorna Jane Clarkson, activewear designer, author, and founder of Lorna Jane. And this is Never Give Up, a series where we explore the stories of women who have faced challenges head on and come out stronger. In this episode, I'm joined by Candice Warner, who began her career as Australia's youngest ever Ironwoman and soon became a celebrated media personality, author, and advocate for strength in the face of adversity. We'll talk about how her upbringing gave her the perfect start for facing life's challenges and how she instills those lessons in her daughters today. Candice Warner.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's a real privilege and honour to be here alongside you.
I feel the same. I've admired you for so long. I've read your book twice now.
Oh.
And you can see all the little stickers stuck on there, things I'd like to talk to you about today. So I feel really privileged to be able to delve into this and this incredible life that you've built for yourself and your family.
Go easy though, go easy.
I will go easy. We're friends.
Yes.
So let's start at the very beginning.
Okay.
You grew up in the beachside suburb of Maroubra in Sydney. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood and what it was like?
Well, firstly, I grew up in Maroubra, but I still live there. My family home is 500 metres from the house that I have now with my beautiful family, my husband and my 3 kids. But I had a fantastic childhood. We weren't spoilt, we didn't have a lot. Mum and Dad were really hard workers, you know, sometimes 2, 3 jobs just to make sure that we didn't go without. But it was fun. We would, you know, walk down to the beach most afternoons and swim, play
Sounds incredible.
World Championship body surfing competitions with my brother. I was like the ultimate tomboy. Anything that my brothers did, I wanted to do. So if they were at soccer training, I would want to kick the soccer ball. If they were playing one-on-one basketball, I was upset because I wasn't getting involved.
So they were older than you, right?
2 older brothers.
2 older, yeah.
So I was just like the little tomboy that wanted to be everywhere with my brothers. I absolutely idolised my brothers. I thought that they were just so fantastic, and I still do. But I had a fun, active childhood, and, you know, I come from a very loving family.
Yeah, in your book, you really do fall in love with your parents.
Yes.
Particularly your dad. So your dad introduced you to nippers at age 6. Can you talk some more about your dad and how he influenced your life?
Well, he still does influence my life. He's 81. He looks fantastic. Thinking of Dad growing up, he was always up early before we woke up, and he would go down to the surf club and go to the surf club gym and train, or he would be bike riding around Centennial Park, rowing boats at Glebe, or he was, you know, running somewhere. So he was always very fit, very active. And then from there, he would go to work. He worked for the local council. So it was, for me, I always saw Dad as just someone who worked hard to sacrifice everything for our family. So again, like, so that we wouldn't go without. So for me, it was everything Dad did rubbed off on me. And my mum, she was incredibly hard worker as well. But Dad is an only child. He was raised by his mother. So all I ever wanted to do was make my dad proud. And you know, he's incredibly proud of anything that myself and my brothers have done, and just being called Dad, you know, it just gave him butterflies. But I wanted to succeed for Dad. I wanted to make Mum and Dad really happy.
Oh, that's lovely. I've got some really great quotes that I love from your dad, and one is, why would anyone want a pool when you have a beach?
Yes.
Like, I just love that.
So I think that was Dad's way of like, we can't afford a pool. But it's also really true, you know, when you have the ocean, and we were 300 metres from Maroubra Beach, why would you want a swimming pool?
That you've got to clean.
Yeah, that's right, clean. And I mean, the maintenance on a swimming pool is a nightmare. So, and that's where we spend all of our our days. In summer, it was afternoons at the beach. Sundays, it was nippers. And I wasn't always great at nippers, but it was something that I fell in love with.
Yeah, and the other one that your dad said is the difference between a dream and a fantasy is hard work.
Yeah, and it's true, and I live by that. And I feel like I've instilled that into my 3 daughters. And yes, it's okay to have dreams and goals, but unless you work hard at them, that's all they're ever going to be, is just fantasies or, you know, a note that might be next to your bed or up on your wall. But everything comes from hard work.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realise that, you know. It's really great to have those examples in your life. You had your parents and your girls have you and David, you know, to actually see, when you can see your parents doing the work.
Yes.
You really don't have to instill it in any other way. They can see it.
That's right. And it's so important for my daughters because we are in a privileged position and, you know, it'd be very easy just to give them everything, but what would that be teaching them? Yeah. And yes, I give them things and like any other parent, but it's really important for them to see that dad goes off to work, mum goes off to work. If dad's having a bad day, he'll put the extras in and you know, stay behind in the nets or go to the gym. And, you know, so it's really important to set the examples for my daughters really early, just like my parents did for me. And for me, just seeing them waking up early and going to work and going without for us, was enough for me to, you know, to flick a switch in me to know that, you know, hard work is everything.
Yeah, and if they're sacrificing this for me, then I really need to make something
That's
of
right,
myself.
and that's why it was really important for me, you know, because back in the day, you know, and it still is, swimming training is expensive. Equipment for my sport is really expensive. If you sign up to something, you see it through. You don't just pull out halfway because it's cost money, but it's also you're letting other people down. So it was really important that I gave them some sort of something back for everything that they put in.
Well, you did.
Yes.
You absolutely did. Well done. You also mentioned in your book, and you've touched on your mum, that she took a job selling Nutrimetics. My mother and my sister sold Nutrimetics. Yeah, I know all about that product.
Yep.
And that you were in awe, but not surprised, when she came home with a company car and the title of director.
Yeah, so again, you know, I talk about my dad working hard, but mum was always really ambitious. I think that's where I get my, I suppose, positive thinking from, and my motivation is from my mum, because she worked really hard. She set goals and she started off, you know, really low down in Nutrimetics and then built her way up. So I'd see that she'd put seminars on a Monday night at our house and how she would set things up and how organised and planned. Everything was just so planned out. And so I took a bit from my dad and my mum, and I thought, well, I feel like that's the recipe to success for me. And I think that's the great thing, is that mum and dad never put a limit on anything. So I dreamed big, but I also worked really hard.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing there is the starting of you seeing the teamwork that your parents had, you know, in bringing up you and your brothers, and we'll talk about it later, but I really see that with you and David. I feel that when I was reading your book, that you really do come together at a team, and when one of you is challenged, the other one's right up there in support, you know.
That's what, as a team, and I'm sure we'll get into it later, but as a team, I think it's what you've got to do. You know, if someone else is having a bad day, you've got to, you know, pick up the slack, and vice versa. You've got to be there for one another.
And to feel that, to be able to do that for someone, and to actually be on the receiving end and receive that from someone, it's priceless.
It is, it is.
Yeah, it really sort of bonds you together for life.
It does, you know, because you experience things together that no one will ever know. No one will ever understand as a couple, the highs, the lows, and just what you went through, and what it took some days to get out of bed, and what it took some days to front people and smile and just feel like any other person when inside you're slowly dying.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Okay, so let's talk about your sporting career.
Okay.
You were Australia's youngest ever Ironwoman at age 14. I'm interested to know what drove you at such a young age to pursue such a demanding sport. Oh, my goodness. Talking about, in your book, you talk about those waves, and I'm like, oh, my God, I do like get on the beach instantly. How do you think this sporting experience has shaped your resilience, both physically and mentally?
It's a funny one because I grew up as a beach sprinter, absolutely petrified of the ocean. Even though I'd go down every day to the beach, I would like put my feet in and that sort of. As soon as the waves got too big, I was like, no, you know. And I still get scared. And even throughout my career, I was, I suppose, really scared of those bigger waves. But it wasn't until I was 12 and I missed a beach sprinting race, and my dad was there, and he was always so encouraging and said, look, we're at North Bondi, there's no waves, why don't you grab a board and just go for a paddle? So it was the Sydney Championships, and I went in and I got second. And from then on, I fell in love with it. And again, I knew that I had a lot of work to do, but I think when you have a little bit of success, you want more.
Yeah, I agree.
So I got obsessed. And I just had tunnel vision. I was like, next time I go in that, I want to win it. And yeah, so I was that kind of kid, very competitive. I didn't have a lot of natural ability, but I knew how to work hard. And I knew through seeing my parents working hard and what they were able to achieve that anything's possible.
Yeah, you hear that so much with athletes. It's like they always talk about the hard work. It doesn't matter how much raw talent you have.
Yeah.
If you want to be the best at what you do, you really need to put in that hard work. And interesting, like I'm thinking about your dad and I'm thinking, I wonder when he said to you, grab a board, I wonder whether he sort of knew, like, you know, if I can just get her to
possibly
get that feeling.
Possibly, because I was fearless in the sense that I would try anything. And I always went hard because of brothers. I'd go hard at everything. So, yeah, not having a lot of natural ability, I just thought, this is what I want to do. And because no one ever expected me to do well in the water events, none of the other parents or athletes ever said to me, you can't do it at that stage, because no one expected me to, because I was never a threat to their kids. So I thought anything was possible. So the next year I won that, and then I won the state championships. Yes. And then a year later, there was trials to get into the professional series, and I thought, well, if I could work really hard and win the state after a year, why can't I? I don't care that I'd be going up against 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds. If I'm good enough and I put in the hard work, why can't I? I know that, like, I dream of it every night. I visualize it, I see it. So why can't I, if I put the work in, why can't I make it happen? But that's when, because I did start to have a little bit of success, that's when people started to say, you're too young, you won't be able to do it. You're getting a little bit ahead of yourself. And, you know, really crushing my dreams. As a 13-year-old aiming for something 12 months down the track, I thought everyone would be really encouraging and supportive, but everyone kind of laughed at me. But I knew at such a young age that I'll show you. And I used that as motivation. And, you know, I kind of felt really alone in my, I suppose, journey at such a young age to reach success. But it's what I wanted. You know, when everyone else was on school holidays, I was saying to mum and dad, can you take me to the pool? My coach has said we need to do this. Even though my coach hadn't, I was just like, I want to get more sessions in. I want to get more laps in. I want to catch them. You know, while they're sleeping, you know, I want to do more. So I was always very driven.
But isn't that what you want for your children now?
Yes.
Like if one of your girls turned around and said, Mum, I'd like to do some extra training in the pool, wouldn't you encourage that?
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I've got 3 young daughters now and they're very athletic. So they play a lot of tennis. Didn't
I see one of them just got an award?
Oh, the little one won a little tournament.
But she looked so happy in the picture, yeah.
But they work really hard and they dream big. And the great thing, for example, Ivy, my 10-year-old daughter, is she idolises people like Rafa Nadal, who is a hard worker that never gave up. She idolises Aryna Sabalenka, the world #1 tennis player at the moment, who is, you know, a very athletic, strong, confident lady, and someone like Serena Williams. So she has, you know, all these photos on her wall of all these incredible athletes that are you know, they aren't your influencer. They aren't. They're confident, strong, hardworking people who came from nothing but worked really hard to get where they are. So, you know, anything is possible. It just starts off with a dream. And every night before my kids go to bed, I talk to them and I whisper in their ear and I tell them how fantastic they are and how, you know, just what a great day they've had. So, look, I hope that they aspire to one day be the best version of themselves.
Oh, I'm sure they will, with you on their side.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Still talking about your sporting career, you went on to dominate the sport with an incredible 20 Australian Championship medals and 36 state medals. Well done,
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Can you share with us some of the highlights and lowlights of your life during this time?
Yeah, so, I mean, it sounds fantastic, you know, 20 national medals, but...
It is, by the way.
Yeah, it is. But this was over a 15, 20-year period.
Yeah.
You know, so there's probably, I should have got a lot more medals. There should have been medals there that were gold. And then sometimes some of those gold medals, you know, I got a bit lucky because in the ocean you get that. But, I suppose the highlight for me was always the team events. I loved working as a team and all our training was so individual, you know, swimming for 2 hours in the morning, everything was time-based.
Can we just say that again? Swimming for 2 hours in the morning. And that's just part of the training, just to get some perspective, right?
And then from the swimming training, it'd be go to the gym. Then you'd have lunch off. I was working at the time, and then in the afternoons it was at the beach, and then after that it was running training. And this was every day. Oof. From a sport that financially didn't give you a lot, but the love was there. So any team event medal was always a highlight, like working as a team and doing it with, you know, girls that you would wake up every morning and train with. And so that was always a real highlight. Low light was probably expectations that I would put on myself at a very young age because I was so driven and because I was very tunnel vision and I suppose isolated myself from everyone. I expected a lot from myself. And as I was getting older, when I say older, I mean 16, 17, 18, not the young person that, you know, just was fresh on the block, that no one sort of expected anything. When you start to have a bit of success, you expect success. And other people were probably started to work a little bit harder and I was maybe not working as hard as I once was, so I wasn't getting those results. So,
but that's the time when people do give up, right? Because I've sort of had that sort of experience when, you know, I'm winning fashion awards and I've won, you know, the swimwear award 2 years running, and then I think, oh, should I enter again because are they going to give it to me again? And you don't want to end lower than the year before. So, you kept going.
Yes.
But so many people at that stage just think, oh.
I kept going because there was still so much I hadn't achieved.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that was the thing that was driving me. Yes, I turned professional when I was 14, but I never won a professional race in the Ironwoman series until I was 26. So I got close.
A lot of training,
It's a lot of training, a lot of years. But it was the one thing as a little girl when I was training, I always had the commentators in my ear, in my head going, Candice gets a wave and Candice crosses a line first. I never had that. And I knew it was coming. I didn't think it was going to take that long. I didn't think it was going to take 10, 12 years. But I knew that day was going to come one day. So that was what drove me through the hard times. That's what kept me wanting to succeed because I'd achieved stuff at a national level, but in the professional series, the thing that I grew up watching on a Sunday on the TV, the Uncle Toby's Ironman series, watching Trevor Hendy, Grant Candy.
It was huge, wasn't it?
It was massive. And that's what I wanted to be. And until I got that win, I wasn't going to stop.
Yeah. Well, good on you.
Thank you.
Good on you. Okay, so beyond your athletic career, you've become a celebrated media personality.
Oh.
I watch you on TV all the time.
Yes, thank you.
Author, love your book. An advocate for strength in the face of adversity. Not one you've probably chosen.
Yes.
How do you balance it all and take care of your young family and look after yourself both physically and mentally?
Oh, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. And when, you know, I put my head on that pillow each night.
Feels good, right?
It's so good and I'm exhausted. But I enjoy that kind of life. I mean, I could easily, with 3 daughters and a husband that's away 300 days of the year, I could get a nanny. But I don't.
You don't have a nanny?
No.
She is Superwoman.
But in saying that, I rely on my mum and my dad, who live close, and they love helping out. They love spending that time with their grandkids. But I want to be that mum that picks them up from school, and when they, see me, they run up to me and give me a cuddle. And sorry, I get really emotional when I talk about my kids because they mean everything to me.
Yeah. And she's leaving at 2:30 today to pick up her kids. It's true.
And I didn't have a lot of friends growing up because, like I said, I isolated myself from everyone because my goals and dreams meant more to me than going out or having friends, and that didn't serve me well later on in life, but they're my best friends, and I want to be there and I want to support them, and I don't want to miss anything that they do. And I'm not a helicopter mum, but I'm a very supportive mum, and I don't want to miss anything that they do. So it's tiring, it's challenging, but I love it, and I love supporting my husband, and and I want to be there for my kids and my family, not just for their successes, but for everything. If they fall at netball, I want to be there. And I think because David's not around very often with cricket and his work commitments, I don't want there to be no parent there. Yeah. So, yeah, sorry. I just get
I'm going to get you a tissue.
I just get really emotional when I talk about my kids because they're good girls, they're great kids, and I get so much pleasure from them.
Don't ever say sorry.
I know, but I am one of those women that just, as soon as I talk about my family, I just get really emotional.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that about you. So hopefully I'm not going to make you cry again.
No, you won't. You won't.
Okay, so this is, I'd have to admit, my favourite part of this interview because I just love David and you. I'm going to get emotional now. And your family. It just, when I read it in the book, and I think because I related to it so much, my family means a lot to me. I don't have children, but I'm very close to my family. And my husband has been the support of my life.
Like, you're going to make me
I know.
We're going to be a crying mess.
Sorry, guys. But every year we just get closer, and we've been married for 30 years, So I really want to delve into this, and hopefully we'll get through it without tears, okay? Okay, so you've been married to Australian cricket star David Warner. Everyone knows David. For 9 years now. 20 years ahead of you. And you have 3 beautiful girls, Ivy, Indy and Isla. Can you tell us how you met? I know, but you can tell everybody else. And what you love the most about him, and what you love the most about you as a couple.
So David and I grew up similar area. Probably we grew up maybe 1 kilometre, 1.5 kilometres from one another. We didn't know each other, but as we got older, and we're both, I'm an Ironwoman, he's a cricketer, you hear, David Warner's from Matraville, and I'm from, so we knew of each other. We did meet after a City to Surf 1 year, and it was just I was out and it's like, oh, that's David, and David, that's Candice, and that was basically
so nothing,
not at all.
Like, you didn't think, oh, he's cute.
No, it was more just like, oh, he's a bit rude, if anything, because he was, at the time, he had a girlfriend, and I think he was showing her respect, but there was nothing in it. It was just like, oh, you guys are from the same area, that sort of thing, and it wasn't until, it must have been a few years later that I was watching something. It's like a little show that they did on him on Fox with his time in India. And it was really fascinating and it was fabulous. And this was before Instagram. So I messaged him on Twitter and said, oh, I just watched the show on ASIC, on you in India. It was fabulous. And we just started talking. At that stage, he had just broken up with his girlfriend. I was single. And we started speaking for about... I would say 2 or 3 months. He was in England at the time and I was just finishing up my season, so there was no way we could have met. And it wasn't until I had finished that he said, look, It's just crazy. We've been speaking. We know that there's something there. Why don't you come over to England and, we actually see each other face to face.
Just come all the way to England.
And look, I felt really comfortable, and I was, must have been 26. And so I thought, what, if it doesn't work out, I'm old enough, I'll just go to London, or I'll fly home. Like, it can't be that bad.
I'll see a bit of Europe, or I'll do something.
And I'm incredibly confident. So I was like, this is fine. But I was very confident that I'd get there and it'd be fine. And it was brilliant. And so I spent 2 weeks with David in England during the 2013 Ashes. And then I came home, we moved in together straight away. And in December that year, I found out that I was pregnant with our first baby, Ivy. And that following February, we were engaged. So it's been everything that we had done. It was just so quick, but it was just so right.
Oh, when you know, you know.
And it's so true.
It's such a similar story for Bill and I, because I met him in Cairns when I lived there, and I was working for the Queensland government at the time as a dental therapist, and they transferred me back home to Brisbane, which I'd always wanted. And so we'd been on one date, that was it. I think he kissed me on the cheek, very old-fashioned, And he came to visit me like months later, and then he decided he was going to move, and we bought a house together. I mean, my best friend lived with us as well. Yeah. She was my protection.
Oh, my brother lived with us for 9 years.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But it's funny, like it's when you know, and you know that everyone around you is thinking, whoa, this is fast.
Yeah.
But, you just know it.
You do, and I think you have so many other relationships that fail or just teach you that when you get to that point in when you find someone that just fills your heart and it just makes you feel so comfortable and happy in who you are, and you can truly be yourself, then I think that's when you know. Yeah. So look, everyone else around us was like, oh my God, you guys are crazy. Like, this is the worst idea ever. Candice has always, been in the media for certain things. And David, you're at that stage, they were trying to paint him out to be the bad boy of cricket. So together, this is going to be a disaster. How is this going to work? But it was the best thing for us. And we're similar in the sense that we have the same ethics. We have the same, we believe in the same things, but yet we are completely different. So together, I think we make just a really great team. He brings out the best in me. I bring out the best in him. And I think we just both needed one another. And if we had met earlier, I don't think it would have worked because we both had some growing up to do, and we just weren't at that stage in our lives. I mean, if we met earlier, I would have still had goals and dreams that I wouldn't have wanted to, give up on. But at that stage, I had achieved what I wanted to in my sport, and I was very happy to, support David and help him achieve his goals. And I believe that I did. I believe that I really helped him.
Absolutely.
And so I got a lot of fulfillment from that.
Yeah, 9 years.
Yeah.
You proved them wrong.
Yeah, so far.
David is often referred to as his rock, highlighting your role as a source of strength and inspiration. I would love it if you could share with us what this looks like, and what advice would you offer to others about the importance of having a strong partner?
I think for me, because I had been through so much at such a young age in my life, when David went through what he went through in 2018, I knew what I had to do. I knew what I needed to do to help him, because I'd been where he'd been. I'd been at that rock bottom, and I know that you can come out of it. But when you're there, you think that this is the worst thing. Like, we're never ever going to, never going to be able to leave the house. Everyone's going to judge me, and at first it is horrible, but it passes. And I just needed to remind him that cricket has been taken away from you, but you're still a husband and you're still a father of 2 girls who need you. And I think just loving him and supporting him and letting him have those bad days. If he wanted to cry, let him cry. If he wanted to stay in bed a little bit, that's fine. But then I needed to also just sort of kick him back into, every now and again, just a bit of that tough love, and say, okay, this is just a job. Your job has been taken away from you momentarily.
Yeah.
It's not completely shut. So if you get that opportunity to play cricket again, what do you want to be remembered for? How do you want to come back? And if you're just going to lay in bed all day, or if you're just going to drink every night, how is that going to help you? How is that going to benefit you? So we started to train really hard together. We would run, we would do, 20 kilometres runs, we would do sprints. I was throwing balls to him in the ball machine, and I just thought...
I'm exhausted thinking about it.
Yeah, no matter, when that opportunity comes again, no one is going to know what's hit them.
But also physical exercise helps you mentally. It
most
stops
definitely.
the negativity, So
yes.
they say that the answer to negativity is physical exercise.
Absolutely.
So you're getting him out of his head and stop thinking about that.
He really, really needed that. And that's something that I did many years ago when I was feeling depressed and down. It was just run. So I knew that physical activity and exercise was very important, but I needed him to believe in himself again, because so much that was written and said about him was just so... it was so horrible that I could see why he was getting himself in a depressed state. So it was really important that, look, I believe in you, your kids believe in you, and that's all you need. And when that opportunity comes again, you're going to be better than you've ever been. And then when that opportunity did come, it was a World Cup in England, and he got a couple of centuries, and then that following summer in Australia, he was the Allan Border medalist, and he got 335 not out in Adelaide, and so he showed them. And you've got to learn, and he had to learn to sort of turn it into a positive, even though it was a really horrible and dark time for our family. You need to take something from it.
Yeah.
And
use it to motivate you.
Use it to motivate you, and just get that hunger. And sometimes when you play at the top level for so long, like we were mentioning with your competitions and everything, you lose that hunger. And you turn up, and but he got that hunger back. And so I was really proud of how he got himself out of that and where he is today. But it was challenging. It was challenging for our family, and also for David as well, always being the provider, losing all his contracts, not knowing how he was going to support his family. So, it was just really important that he knew how much I loved him, that I had his back no matter what, and that he will come out of this.
Yeah. And doing the work. Like he's getting in the best physical shape.
Yeah.
So that when an opportunity, like people talk about luck in business and in your career, but you have to be ready for any opportunity. And that's
right.
what I call luck. So he was physically ready, mentally ready for that next opportunity.
He was, and there were times, like I said, he didn't want to leave the house, but I made him still go down and get the newspaper, or still go down and get the bread, still take the kids to school. Don't hide. And I think that was the best thing for him, getting back out into the public straight away.
Yeah.
And we're very lucky. We live in a very supportive community, and most people were really good. And I just wanted him to know that you don't have to hide. We're human. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We're all at some stage going to stuff up.
It's just that ours are the headlines,
that's
and on the
right.
6 o'clock news.
And it was scaled, and it was massive, and I get that. And he was embarrassed, and he was the whole lot. But you need to just still front up. You still need, you can't hide forever.
And I do feel like when you do start to leave the house, because I've been in that position as well, and you leave the house and you do it one day, and then the next day it does get easier. And then someone will come up to you and say, hey, David, I love you. I love what you're doing. I think you're incredible, blah, 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 that's all it takes. Just to know that there might be people saying things about you, but there's a whole lot of other people who want you to win again.
That's right. And I think being a local boy and still living in that local area, he had a lot of support, and there was people that just said, I've got your back. You
can see the human side,
that's right.
Yeah.
We still think you're fantastic. And so it was just for me, I suppose, holding his hand through that situation, I've got you. You're going to be okay. It will pass. But just, we're all human.
And do you think that because of those times that you've been through together, that your love is even stronger?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we were always, because everything happened so fast, we were just sort of riding this high. And, but when you get through something so huge like we did as a couple, and I suppose like you guys as well, it's like if we can get through that, we are so tough, we are so strong, we can get through anything. we could have easily crumbled. And at those times is, a lot of couples do tend to separate, or they may not have that strength, or they may not have a partner that supports them like they need it. But it did make us stronger. And, we look at each other today and we just go, we don't know how we got through that, but we had each other.
Together.
So we were always going to get through it because we had one another.
Yeah.
So it definitely makes you stronger, and it makes you appreciate the person that you have by your side.
Absolutely. And you can say, I love you,
Yeah.
but then you can show
Yes.
that you love someone.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
And I think just that time with, both of us, and I mean, David's always shown, with the cricketing, and whether he's always supported me, and whether, other cricket players have said some horrible things about me just to get under his skin, he's always supported me. He's always had my back. And, it was so important that I was there for him. And, I don't know how you could walk away from someone when they need you the most.
That really does. If we can just go back to that, I don't want to delve into it too deeply, but like for someone to use something so personal about you,
Yeah.
to try to get someone psyche off the game.
Yes.
Like if someone was to do that today.
Yeah.
Well, they do it today.
Yeah.
And they get in a lot of trouble for it.
Yes. Yeah.
It is a terrible thing.
At that time, it was shocking.
And David got in trouble for it.
David got in trouble. So, there's sledging, and then there's attacking someone personally and their wife and their mum. You just don't go there.
Yeah.
But to say such horrible, derogatory things about me when, I'm a mother, I'm someone's daughter, I'm his wife, I've got 2 daughters myself, you just don't go there. So David supported me, and then obviously the next game we went to, there was people wearing masks and singing the most horrible songs, and it was happening in South Africa, the South African cricket officials then joining in on all that. It just wouldn't happen these days, but...
Thank goodness. I'm glad things have changed. I'm sorry you went through that, but I'm glad things have changed.
But the fact that David had to support me through that when he should have been there just concentrating on cricket, that was upsetting for me, but knowing that cricket is just a game, but yet his family is the most important thing in his life and his number one priority, I think was just, it was incredibly touching and moving, and it's something that I don't know how many people would publicly have been so supportive of their partner, and I don't know, but he's incredible.
He's a keeper.
Yeah, he's a keeper.
This is something that I'm really interested in because you talked about wanting to be an example of strength and resilience for your girls when you went on SAS.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't know how you could even possibly think about going on that show.
Oh, you could do it. You could do it, honestly. I
would never jump out of was it a helicopter? A plane? And then you went on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. You had snakes coming out out of these domes, and you had cockroaches falling on you on the first day.
Yeah.
All I could think about is, her poor dress.
Yeah.
But first of all, I think whenever I've seen you on these shows, I think, Candice, what are you doing? Why would you put yourself in a position like that?
I know.
And then you talk about wanting to be this example to show your girls just what women can do. Can you tell me why this is important to you, but also some insights, about the show? Is there anything we didn't see,
So, you're not the only one. My mum and Dave is always like, why would you want to? You live a great life. Why would you want to put yourself in those situations where, Aunt Middleton is going to be screaming at you, or you're going to have snakes thrown at your head? And first of all, I am petrified of heights. I am, I hate snakes. But being an athlete, a former athlete, I love a challenge. And I'm one of those mothers or people who sometimes being a mum, as much as I love it, it doesn't fulfill everything inside me. And my heart is full, and there's probably going to be people that knock me, there's nothing wrong with being a mum. And there's not. I love being a mother, but I love challenging myself. And that's why originally I went on SAS, because I needed that challenge. I wanted to find out just how strong I was. And I don't mean physically, mentally. I knew I was strong.
But did you know what the show was like before you went on it?
I did. And that's what attracted me to it.
It's crazy.
Because I needed that. I needed to be tested mentally. Even though my whole life I've been tested mentally, I just wanted to know how resilient and how strong I was. And I wanted to show my daughters as well that mummy's really strong, you know. And,
you are.
And also strength isn't about how we look, it's what's inside. So I wanted to show my daughters that. So I did it a lot for them, but also for myself, to be pushed, to be challenged, and to train for something and have a goal again and work towards something. So that's why I did SAS and loved it. I'm a Celebrity was a little bit different. It was one of those shows, those family-friendly shows that you can sit down with your kids and watch. And I knew that...
And just say, I'm glad I'm not there.
Yeah,
I'm glad
absolutely.
I'm not her.
And I knew that my girls would watch it and get a really good laugh, be a little bit afraid. But again, it was great. And also with I'm a Celebrity, it's nice because you do it for charity and you get to bring awareness to certain charities. So that was a really lovely aspect and element of the show. But I don't know if I would do it again. I mean, for example, the one that I did where I had my hands and feet were in buckets of, I think it might have been an eel around a couple of eels in my feet. I had frogs in my hands, having to unlock certain things. And then I had this plastic ball thing on my head with snakes inside. Now, I'm petrified of everything, and snakes are a real phobia of mine. So it's not just something that I'm scared of. I have a really bad phobia of them. So it was the most horrible thing that I've ever done. I think when they went to air, I think the show, that little segment went for maybe 5 minutes, when in fact went for about 45 minutes when I was there.
God.
The snakes kept coming out of the head thing that I was wearing. So they had to keep stopping the camera and pull the snakes out from my neck, down my bra, out the back, and keep putting them on top of my head again. By this stage, the snakes were getting quite agitated. They were hissing. They were smelling. It was horrible. It was so uncomfortable.
What do they smell like?
They kind of smell...
Is it like that pheromones that dogs have? That you can't get it off you.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
But I was just and at first I was quite calm. I was like, okay, this is what I've got. But then as it just kept going on and on and on, and these snakes kept escaping down my body, I was like, get it off. And at this stage, my team, I was part of Team Julia, we hadn't eaten properly in maybe 5 or 6 days. So, I mean, we were emotional, the attention was high, we wanted to eat, and so that was kind of stressful as well, but I was like, I've got to stay calm. But in the end, I was just like bawling my eyes out. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
And I actually remember that because I was horrified. And now I'm even more horrified because I know you put up with that for 45 minutes. But you were so apologetic at the end of it, like as if you'd let them down.
Yeah, because I thought we had lost and we hadn't eaten for 5 or 6 days, and I couldn't find this lock. I just couldn't find these locks anywhere because your hands were tied and you had to find a key.
And you had
to
snakes
go to
here
lock,
and eels
snakes
here.
And eels. And I wanted to win so badly for the team because I had been on other challenges and we hadn't won. Look, eventually we won and we got to eat, but it was at that stage, it was just a really horrible experience. It was really torture. It was cruel. But there were some really great times being part of that show, and I did learn a lot about myself, and it gives you time to reflect as a person and as a mother because you don't have any social media. There's a lot of times just you're laying on your bed, and and the thing that I learned from that show is just how much more present I want to be with my kids. And I spend a lot of time with them and a lot of time with my husband, but I do spend a lot of time just scrolling on my phone where, I could pick them up from school at 3:30 and say, I don't need to be on my phone from 3:30 to 4:30. No one's calling me. No, nothing's urgent. And it sort of taught me just to be more present with my kids.
Yeah.
So I did learn, I suppose, that, which was nice.
And you told me before we went on air that you found the actual sitting around more challenging than the challenges. And when I said, would you rather go on a challenge, you actually said yes.
Yes, I know, which is crazy because I'm petrified of everything, but there was so much downtime. So if you didn't get picked for a challenge, you didn't leave the campsite. And it may look big on TV, but it's tiny. And you can't just go up for a swim when you want, and you can't just go down to the gym the little gym that they have when you want. Certain days there's no camera people around, so you can't go up for a swim. So it was just a lot of downtime. So if you got picked for a challenge, you knew that you were going to be out of there for like 4 or 5 hours, which mentally was really good. When you're such a busy, active person and then all of a sudden you're in this jungle and you have nothing to do, that is a huge challenge. And after, I would say, 3 or 4 days, I wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And it's not so much because I wanted to get back to my kids, but I was laying there thinking, time is so precious. I'm just wasting my days away, sitting here waiting for a challenge or waiting for this show to finish when I could be with my family, spending precious time. And I know I spend so much time with them and everyone's like, oh, yeah, but it's only, I was there for 3 weeks. But every day is precious. Every single day is a new opportunity, and that's how I see it.
Yeah, and I think when we're constantly connected these days, like 3 weeks without contact is a long time.
It is. And in that time, David was in India, the girls were in Sydney, my brother was looking after them. They were then going to fly to India. And again, David was still playing cricket, and he still is, but at that time it was very important for him to do really well in that competition. And for me, I felt kind of selfish doing that show when I knew that his competition was so important and I couldn't be there for him. So, that was difficult because I thought if he was having a form slump, he needs me more than I need to be in the jungle. So that was really difficult for me.
Yeah, I think I would still rather sit doing nothing than have snakes around.
No, believe me, you would. It was so boring.
I think we should have a poll. Like, I think we should do a poll online that asks whether you would want to do the challenge
Yes.
or not, and we'll see who wins.
Yep.
I'm sure I'm going to win. You've been in the public eye for a long time now and have faced significant scrutiny, as we both have.
Yeah.
Can you remember that moment when you realised you'd lost the luxury of privacy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would say, I don't think it haunts me every day, but it definitely is always there. Because, I mean, I'm talking about the incident that I had many, many years ago. But I suppose when you put yourself in a place where you think, even though it was in a public area, but you still think you're in a private place. The incident obviously happened at the start of camera phones, so we were all very new to it. We didn't understand how scary a phone can be. And also, I mean, I see a phone as like a loaded shotgun. You've got to be so careful with them.
And that is the thing, isn't it? Like, that's when everyone's life changed.
Yeah. I mean, everyone can be a paparazzi now. Everyone, I mean, it's frightening. And to learn at such a young age just how cruel people can be, and then be known as that girl, that girl that was at the Clovelly Hotel, that girl that was, put herself in a situation that I'm going to regret for the rest of my life.
But also hundreds of girls put themselves in very similar situations. They're just not Candice.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're not, they weren't. With a phone. Yeah,
and it was also a time where, online newspapers was a new thing, and, clicks and was a huge thing, so it just was probably at the wrong time that, both these things were coming out, and that it was making a lot of headlines, and the headlines was getting a lot of clicks. So the newspaper kept running every single day. There was a different headline, a different story. And so that was, as a young girl who always struggled to open up to her parents, that was an incredibly difficult time. And that's when I had my darkest days. And it wasn't until I went on SAS, which would have been, I don't know how many years after, 12 years after, maybe more, that people started to respect me, because they still saw me as just that girl that, went into the Clovelly Hotel toilets.
You know what? People who didn't know you.
Yeah, I know, but there's so many people just who didn't know me. It was horrible. The names, it was the headlines, being called. I mean, I couldn't imagine what it must have felt like for my mother and father to read and hear the things about their daughter. It must have been, I mean, I just think about my daughters, and if those things were written or said about them, when I know the character of my kids, it must have been incredibly difficult. And on top of that, having a daughter who wouldn't open up or wouldn't speak, or just became a little bit of a recluse and just wanted to stay in my room or wear hats. It was incredibly difficult, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know who to trust.
Did you think about this? Like when you decided that you were going to have a relationship with superstar cricket player David Warner, did you think about the privacy, and did you think, gosh, this is actually now going to be next level?
I didn't care at that stage because I got my confidence back through my sport and having success through my sport. So I didn't care so much. We were at first really obviously secretive about it because we also didn't know if it was going to be something that was going to eventuate. Even though we knew it was, we felt that it was, you just never know.
Yeah.
And David's in the middle of an Ashes series, and I know how crazy Aussies are and about their cricket and about the Ashes. So the last thing he needed was, in the middle of an Ashes series, say if he didn't score runs and he's in this new relationship with me, it was going to be my fault. And I didn't want that.
Of course it's your fault.
Yeah, it would have been my fault. Yeah. So that's why I was really cautious.
Yeah.
And then, but then when he came back to Australia and our relationship became public knowledge, that was fine because we were so happy. And through our happiness is when David then, I believe, just his form went from being here and being a good player to being a great player, and from being a cricket player to being a professional athlete. That's where I said, we work hand in hand, and he brings out the best in me and I bring out the best in him. So I think when people started to see how happy we were, but David started to have results, people kind of gave it the okay, which is so horrible.
I know.
It is
Who cares? Who cares what they think?
I know, but we're such a sport crazy country.
I know.
That it all worked out. But no, I didn't think it ever came into our minds how, I suppose, the media was going to be around it. We knew that there was going to be interest, but I think the fact that he was scoring runs, certainly helped us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're a woman that obviously thrives on challenging herself. So what can we expect next from Candice Warner?
I was running to the gym this morning thinking, I'm turning 40 next year. What do I want to achieve?
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. What do I want to achieve? What's 40 going to look like for me? Because the last 10 years has been all about the kids and about David, but turning 40, I want to do something for myself. So I'm thinking, what could I do? Do I want to do a big marathon swim? And I thought, no, I don't want to be up at 4:30 every morning swimming. It's so lonely. What do I want to do? So I'm thinking I want to either run like the New York Marathon or the London Marathon or just something like that, just
something like that.
Yeah, and
something little.
Yeah, but for me, it's not so much about running it. It's about the journey and the process in getting there and how it makes me feel. And that's doing something for me. So it's not just like having a party. It's about what makes me happy. And what makes me happy is setting goals, achieving them. And it just mentally, it just makes me, and it just makes me feel so good about myself. So I think that's what I want to do. Something where I set a goal and I work really hard towards it.
And we will all be cheering you on, that's for sure. You're such an inspiration. But before you go, there's a question that I'm asking everyone that comes on the show. Of course, it's called Never Give Up, which is a personal mantra of mine. And I often talk about the fact that when it comes to things that you love and things that you're passionate about, it is perfectly okay to feel like you want to give up.
Yep.
As long as you don't.
Yes.
I think you're even better at this than me. Can you give us an example? Can you give us an example of a time when you have really felt like giving up, but you haven't? And we might have covered that already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many times. There's so many times on a daily basis that, life presents challenges. My kids present me challenges. Even sometimes it's like, Mom. It's like, it drives you insane. So every single day I have challenges. And there's been times where even in my darkest times, that I want to give up. But you just don't. I tell myself, no. And I'm so glad that I did tell myself no, or not to give up, because, you know, you're so close. Every failure is one step closer to success. And, you know, there's times with my career where I thought I'm never going to get that professional race win. And I could have given up. But that desire, that hunger, if you have a strong enough belief, a strong enough goal, desire, then you won't give up. You know, so find that dream, find that goal, find that thing that makes you really happy, and you won't want to give up. So yeah, that's for me. I don't know. It's not in me to give up. It's just really not.
I actually believe that.
Yeah.
I think that there's nothing that you would give up. I want to be your best friend because you will never give up on me.
No, you know, and that's what I say to my daughters, you know, like, life isn't always going to be happy. There are going to be bad days. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be times where you think like the world is against you, or everyone's against you. But everything passes. Everything passes.
And it's what you do during those times
Yes.
that builds your character, builds your sustenance,
Yes.
builds your strength
Yes.
to be better the next
Yeah,
time.
and I mean, everyone's going to have failures. Everyone. I mean, I use tennis because my kids are so obsessed with it, but you're not always going to win, but you're going to learn. And your failures give you your biggest growth. So that's why I always think success is going to be, if you fail, that's actually a good thing, because you're learning, and success is going to be just around the corner. And if you give up, you're never going to know what it feels like to have that success.
I love that. I love that. Okay, fast five. Are you scared?
Oh, I like this. I like a little quiz.
What is the first thing you do in the morning to set yourself up for the day?
Oh.
Fast. Come on, fast.
You know what? I water the lawn.
You're so good.
I
Is there
water the
nothing you
lawn.
don't do?
I water the lawn. I'm obsessed with my garden, my plants, my lawn. So I water we've got irrigation, but there's some pots that don't. So I wake up before the kids, and I mean, it's supposed to be quick, but I water the lawn. I water my plants.
That's good.
I love it. I love it.
What song or artist is your go-to when you need some sort of hype or motivation?
I love Tina Turner. Tina Turner. I mean, there's so many great artists now, but I mean, I'm old school, so I love Tina Turner, Billy Joel, Michael Jackson, anything that's got a really good beat. I'm all for it.
Love it. Proudest moment?
Oh, my kids, my husband, my kids, but then personally would be winning my professional Ironwoman race.
Yeah. You worked really hard for that.
I did.
Something that surprises people about you?
I think how soft I am. Everyone sees the exterior and thinks I'm really hard and tough, and I had to be to get through certain situations. And but I think when people get to know me, I'm really soft. I'm friendly. I may not look it at times, but I'm very soft.
I agree. I see it.
Oh, thank you.
Last one.
Okay.
One word to describe 2025 for you.
Opportunity. And I say opportunity because I want to make some opportunities. I want to make the most of everything that comes my way, and you know, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to go after some things that maybe I haven't ever dreamed of doing. But I'm reaching 40, and I'm thinking I want to start living for me. You know, and so opportunities.
I love that, and I'm sure you're going to do amazing things. So before you go, this series is all about celebrating stories of growth and giving back. And I want to thank you for sharing your journey. You are such an inspiration.
Thank you.
To honour your time, we're thrilled to donate $5,000 to a charity of your choice.
Yep.
Could you share with us the charity you've chosen and why it means so much?
Yeah,
to
I'm
you?
doing the Women's Community Shelter, which is, I believe, is the same as,
it
as
is.
what you did.
It
and I
is.
just think it's, unfortunately, unfortunately, there's so many women who suffer out there, and to know that, you know, we're giving to an incredible charity that do such phenomenal work for women who need it. I mean, it's so sad, the statistics of how many women, you know, get, unfortunately, there's so much domestic violence out there, and so many women who feel the need that they have to escape. And I mean, these women's shelters just do such a phenomenal job. And I just think, you know, it's actually really sad. It's actually so sad what women, some women go through, and how scared they are. But then to have those shelters where they feel protected, where they feel like a woman, where they feel like they're living again, I think is
and
just...
they're not just shelters. They give them the tools to get back
Absolutely, into
the world, and
Yeah.
they look after the children.
Yeah.
And I did an interview series with the CEO, and it was just incredible. And you know, people imagine homeless women as down and out women.
Yeah.
But these are women that come from, you know, wealthy families.
And some of the, you know, are incredibly successful women who with high-profile jobs, but unfortunately, if they have been in a bad relationship, you know, they haven't had that courage, or some women don't have the independence to leave, so they stay. But having these women's shelters just to help them get back on their feet, to guide them in the right direction is so important. They do a really great job.
So thank you, and thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yep.
I've loved it, and you know, I feel like we're just so similar in our stories, and you're so iconic. You paved the way for so many companies. The fact that you're thriving, you know, still
At 60
is incredible. But it's a testament to you and
Thank
your
you.
partner and your team around you, and not giving up.
Well, I think too, it's thank you, but it's loving the work, loving a challenge. Like, please don't tell me that, you know, I'm not good at what I do either. So I'm definitely not as mighty at
you
doing
are.
things as
You
but
are.
in my own quiet way,
Yeah.
I'm definitely never giving up. So thank you. Thanks for being on the show.